welcome back, everyone. Off week for me, not an off week for my favorite co-host here. I'm Billy Liucci.
And I'm Amanda Atwell.
And we are...
this week, Billy is moving goalposts.
Yeah, we'll tackle that later.
I'm gonna make everybody really happy starting off with that.
rough off week for your boy. Rough Saturday night.
You just need to log off Twitter sometimes.
Yeah, I almost shut it down last night. That was the closest you've ever had me, actually. But a lot to talk about before we get to the fireworks at the end there and our picks, which is getting more and more interesting. But big win for Texas yesterday. Season-preserving, maybe season-changing win. A lot of momentum to talk about over there right now. And then we'll preview a huge game for the Aggies, kind of flip-flopping. This week A&M off, next week Texas off. So there's been a lot of synergy the last few weeks. Both teams keep winning. Off week followed by an off week, and then that home stretch, and we all know what's coming. We're under a month away from it now. So let's dive in, Amanda, and I guess start us out. I saw you were enjoying a little La Casa during the game yesterday, watching it from there in the comfort of home.
As usual, that is a new routine. I did the same exact routine I did again for the game against Mississippi State, down to the same shirt and the same socks, same beverages. Worked out beautifully. So we might not need, I haven't washed those socks since OU. That might be kind of gross to admit.
Yeah, as long as you're just wearing them during the games, I think you're okay.
Just during the games. I told Grant that, and he was like, I'm stealing those and putting those in the wash. Yeah. Which, they've always been my lucky socks, so they have the state of Texas all over them. They're just my Texas foot, and they feel great under cowboy boots, so it's perfect. But yes, did the same routine, and it worked out pretty well. Honestly, until the last half of the fourth quarter there, that was the least stressed I have been during a Texas football game, I think, since probably Sam Houston State, which is wonderful.
It is. It's just weird. And again, I always harp on the whole SEC thing, but as fans, isn't it crazy? You just don't feel like you ever get a breath during one of these games. And then when you do, you really appreciate it. And like you said, you guys did for a while, right up until the last couple minutes there. And it's what happened with Vandy and what you guys did to Mississippi State. It's an example of why, a game like A&M and Baton Rouge last weekend, everyone around you is like, we got this. But you're like, guys, how much college football do you watch? Let's just get me to the damn finish line. If you really know, you know. And
I don't know. I feel like y'all kind of killed LSU's spirit at that point. At that point, I feel like the fans were out of it as well.
They quit.
Especially with all the issues with Brian Kelly, because they wanted him out and they knew that game would push him out the door. So I think they were just if the fans aren't in it, then it's going to be a lost cause.
Just as a quick aside, someone told me this week that was it was just a weird feeling for the team and the whole thing heading into that stadium, the warm-ups, everything, to where people that described it as it almost felt like LSU their fans were coming there kind of to join in with A&M and getting Brian Kelly fired. That was the vibe and the energy, so it was kind of surreal. But anyway, speaking of firings, I'm just going to make a little quick note because there's a couple people that are going to get fired from my website if they don't quit. Here's the thing, guys. Watch the show. Enjoy the show. Banter with us. Watch it. You can hate watch it. I don't care. Amanda, I know you don't care.
Just don't be an asshole.
That's it. Enjoy it. Don't like it. Say you like it. We love it when you say you like it. You can say you don't like it. That's fine too. But the stuff, it's too much for me. I don't monitor and police the board 24/7, guys. Y'all know that. We put out an insane amount of content on here, and it's the same little group of y'all every week. We get it. When we did this show, he said it's not for everybody. It's for more and more people each week. I hate to break it to you, but it is. And the two teams are helping us out there. But just calm down. And I'm going to say this for those of you listening. The threads about it on my site, over. There's a reason we don't put it on there. It would help generate a lot more eyeballs and traffic if I did. I didn't put it on there because I knew people would say, well, half the show's talking about Texas, and it's on the A&M site, so you don't want it. I did that so y'all wouldn't start threads complaining about it. And for someone that's sitting here on the other side as my friend, just like a lot of you have Longhorn friends and a lot, family members, hell, my own sister, and I know there's a million of us in that boat, like, I'm not putting up with it. We're doing this for fun, and a lot of people enjoy it. So when you cross lines, you lose the right to talk about it when you make things personal. So those of you that did that, you know who you are. It's a very tiny number compared to the compliments and all the nice things people have said to me, to Amanda in person, online. But you, small group, have ruined it for that site. So last I checked, I own it. No longer discussed, unless you want me to put the show on the site and really maximize the audience and the platform that I and we here have built. So
yeah, and I mean, the thing is, it's like, I love constructive criticism. I know this is a kind of show. I mean, you see this is more of like, I would say, like a barstool discourse and what you're going to see with most of your content on TexAgs. And it's meant to be for fun. It's meant to be tongue in cheek. And if that's not your kind of humor, if you don't like dry humor, if you don't like little snarking back and forth, then you don't have to watch. But the fact of the matter is, if you are the kind of person that's making derogatory remarks about a person who wants to talk about sports that happens to be a woman, you are the problem. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's all I love criticism. There's plenty of Aggies out there that have followed me and they'll still be sassy in my response. Yeah. I love that. That's what I love about sports. I love the fact that sports, this is why I got into sports, and I'll go on a little tangent here.
Yeah.
I got into sports because it brings so many different kinds of people together, and you get really good stories out of it. It's something in a world full of just awful things going on. It's something mutual to cheer on, something that you can be happy about. You can have these emotions with other people, whatever they may be. That is why I love sports. But when you take it to a personal level, start talking about my personal life that you don't know about. You could probably know about it if you tried, but I really don't want any of you to try at this point.
Don't do that. Don't
do that. But yeah, that's why I love sports. And if that's not the reason you love sports, then maybe this show isn't for you. And that's just fine. But me personally, I don't know about you, Billy, but I don't listen to stuff that I don't like.
No, I don't get it.
It's called free will. If you don't like it and it upsets you that much to where you're making personal, offensive comments to a stranger on the internet that you don't know, I think you need to take a long look in the mirror about who's the problem here. Just because somebody went to a different university than yourself,
it is the other thing that I think is people don't get. Like, again, think of your friend at work, your Longhorn friend that just annoys you when Texas is winning and you don't want to see them on Monday, and your Aggie.
And I have Aggies like that at work as well.
Your Aggie friend that when A&M's 8-0, you're like, oh my God, now they just beat LSU. Now I got to hear this. That's half of what we're doing here, because you know why? It's the reality that we all live with, all of us, whether it's at Thanksgiving dinner, whether it's the day after that game, whether it's on Twitter and social media, which Amanda and I and most of y'all all have to deal with. And we're bringing it on here. So sometimes, here's the thing. This woman and me can go at it like we did last night on Twitter. And the next day or the next hour or whenever it is, we're like friends like nothing happened, just like all of you are with your Texas or your Aggie friends.
Through it, we're friends. It's just funny, snarky sports commentary. And when we're having those arguments about sports, it's about sports. It's not personal. And when you take sports outside of what they are and make them personal, it's not fun anymore. And that's what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be fun. We are arguing about 20-year-olds on a field. And if that makes you act like a horrendous human being, which I mean, and I want to clarify this, every fan base has them. Oh, yeah. The Longhorns has them as well. People will probably be shocked to know this. I have more Longhorns blocked on social media than I do Aggies. I mean, I think I have more Sooners than anything.
Hey, speaking of blocked, I've got a couple of Twitter people that you and I need to tandem block because there was one of those little side spinoffs got a little weird. It had nothing to do with us or football, and it went to a bizarre
I wasn't even looking. What's funny about these responses that I think a lot of people don't realize is that even if you're like a normal profile that's obviously not like a spam profile, Twitter can tell it's an obnoxious reply and it puts you in the probable spam category of replies. Yeah. So just know a lot of your nasty comments, I'm not seeing them, but hey, maybe your daughter will log onto Twitter one day and see them. I wonder what she would think about you talking to a woman you don't know on the internet about that.
Don't turn yourself into
and some of y'all are
spam.
very good Christian men as well, according to your bios. So
I get a lot of the praying types that come after me very nasty and personally. It's always kind of, I don't know if they're compensating.
Pray for you guys.
I think they're compensating because they're like they're either living that way too much and they've got to have an outlet, and in other words they're faking it, or they're putting that on there because they feel bad about how the way they really act in normal life. Just act cool, guys, and like enjoy the show. We're not changing. We're gonna have fun with it, and like I said, more and more people are enjoying it, taking it in. I think, and then a lot of it too is, dude, like we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about right now. Like both fan bases have reason to be excited, like, and we're in November.
When both of us are good. I mean, y'all dealt with it this summer. Mm-hmm. There wasn't much to brag about this summer, but now you have an 8-0 team. Focus on enjoying that and not sending nasty comments to a woman you don't know on the internet. Focus on the team that has given you a reason to be happy and optimistic this season under an awesome new head coach that seems to have the program going in the right direction.
And by the way, in closing, two things. Number one, you guys, the 99% of you that had to just listen to all that, it ain't you. And 99% of you on that message board, it ain't you. A dozen of you
if you're like, what the heck is this all about? It's not about you.
And a dozen of you on one thread can be really freaking loud, and you just keep going in and commenting. The other thing is this. We wouldn't be doing this if people weren't crossing the lines in the comments, in the DMs, on TexAgs. There's a reason that we started off with this. But again, you're not going to win. You're not winning. It's just there are other losers now on the site because we're not going to talk about it anymore on there. We're going to talk about all the A&M stuff, all the Aggie related stuff. With that said, and by the way, be careful because Queen TikTok over here might start pulling.
I got something up my sleeve, and it involves a new Taylor Swift song that some of you might be featured in if you're not careful.
Well, you already featured me in that same song, so.
Well,
isn't that the one, the Chihuahua?
You're going to be happy. Wait, is that one? Yeah, it's the same song. But you're going to be happy that it was just the barking Chihuahua portion for you.
Good. Well, you
won't be included in the TikTok, so.
Good. For once. Until you decide to do one off of the Twitter episode last night, but I deserve that. So, but we both have a lot to be happy about today, but let's start off with the actual football game, Amanda. Yesterday, Texas really blowing out Vandy, just kind of like you and Peyton did last week where y'all tuned out of the A&M LSU game. I had kind of done that for a few minutes there and was watching some other games, enjoyed a nice Saturday at home watching college football. And I had clicked over to some other stuff and then start seeing, I never thought Texas was going to lose it until I saw that ball bouncing around on the onside. That was the only moment.
Yeah, that was sketchy. It
got dicey for about 1 second, but that was similar.
And who knows? At that point, I was worried the refs might say that the Vanderbilt player had the ball secured with how that game was going.
The only team that has more of a gripe Saturday on officiating than you guys did at Texas was Arkansas with 200 yards of penalties. I think it was 185 yards of penalties on their home field and lost that one to Mississippi State. So we'll talk about that in a minute when we talk SEC. But all right, so Diego Pavia and top 10 Vandy go in there. They leave with their second loss of the season. Arch Manning.
Diego was talking a lot going into this game.
And I will say, Texas fans chanting overrated.
That was a little much.
Well,
but I mean, at that point in the game, it was looking like he was a little overrated.
But do you know, here's the thing. I don't think it was much to be chanting that at Pavia. I thought they were chanting that at Vandy. And I'm going, come on, you're Texas, they're Vandy. I know the rankings say one thing.
No, I think that was directed at Pavia.
Which I think is fair game for all the stuff he said.
He was talking all kinds of things. He called Texas Louis Vuitton before coming in there. And he was wearing a chain, or I can't remember if it was him or a friend who was wearing a chain with a massive upside down Longhorn. I mean, if you're going to talk the trash, your fans are going to give it back. The fans are going to give it back to you. That's how sports go. Yeah. It's just how it goes.
Well, they ate him up for most of the game. He had a pretty heroic fourth quarter, but it wasn't enough. And it wasn't enough to overcome Arch Manning, who all week, I know it was up in the air. And he comes back, and I like the joke he said.
Did you see? His joke in the interview. I was going to ask you about that one.
Knocked it back
he was like,
into him.
Maybe it helped.
The dude's funny. He's self-deprecating. I always appreciate that. And we've talked about it's two very likable quarterbacks on these two teams, but it also helps when they're good. And he was really damn good yesterday. I thought his best game of his young career.
He has some really good stats, 328 yards, 75.8% completion rate, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. The one thing he's been really good about is ball security recently. I mean, he had that one interception against Mississippi State, ball bounced out of the receiver's hands. It was thrown into double coverage. That one, gimme. But still, one interception over, I think, the last 4 games, that's pretty, or one turnover. He hasn't fumbled the ball.
Yeah.
That's especially with how much he was getting hit in the games before this week, because we'll get into it of how different this offensive line looked, which has been Texas. And I mean, been telling you all along, the offensive line seemed to figure it out. What else seemed to figure it out? Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Funny how that works when your quarterback's not worried he's going to get blown up on every single play, that he plays a little better.
There's no question.
Like there's a correlation there.
Look over here across the street, last year to this year.
Yep.
I mean, it matters the most of the two things that matter most, in my opinion, or in order. It goes O-line, the guys you're throwing the ball to, and then obviously the guy scheming and putting you and all those aforementioned people in position to succeed. And Sark seems to have figured out a formula that works. I know there were a lot of people, not just Aggies, but everywhere saying, well, that 75% completion rate's misleading because he's throwing screens and stuff. And I'm like, okay.
Who cares what he's throwing?
Well, but here's the deal.
They're working.
It builds early game confidence. You throw some completions. You get the ball out of your hands without get your ball out without getting hit.
If the screen's going to get you a touchdown on the first play of the game, I don't care what it is. And if it was your team, you also wouldn't care what it is.
No, and here's the thing. Texas's skill, look, they won't be able to do that every week. Sark understands that. But he saw a weakness that I think our guys in space are better athletes than their guys on the perimeter. So rather than run our heads into a brick wall to start this game and make Arch throw it over the middle where it's more susceptible, we're going to do this and see if your guys can tackle our guys on the perimeter. And the answer was no. And so the follow-up was, well, then we're going to keep doing it. And then it opens up everything, and then you see a team that the offense, I thought, looked the best it has against a meaningful opponent all year.
I think so as well. And I think a big part of that, we'll get back into the O-line, but for those who don't watch Texas or pay attention to the injury reports and all of that, one of the big pieces here was Cole Hudson. He was previously center. He's been out the last, I think, 2 weeks, 2 weeks potentially. He returned from the injury list. And the guy who has been playing center, Connor Robinson, not Cole Robinson. There's too many C names on this O-line. Cole, Colin, whatever.
Connor.
Connor Robinson, he's been at center. They kept him at center, and instead of putting Cole Hudson back at center, they moved him to left guard, which has been a real weakness point. And Sark said in the post-game press conference that it was just really about getting his 5 best players out there, just the best on, and it worked. The most experience, and it worked. They didn't allow a sack. And only 1 snap went for negative yards, which is pretty insane if you look at how the last couple weeks of offense has gone. And also 12 personnel, he kind of did away with that. There was way less plays with 2 tight ends on the field. Went back to just kind of spreading the field, going fast and throwing the football. And I think another thing that we've noticed the last 2 weeks is we're finally seeing Emmett Mosley be utilized a lot more, the transfer from Stanford.
Yeah.
And he's really showed up big time, especially with Ryan Wingo went out, I think after this first quarter in this game. And it was shown on the broadcast, his thumb. It looked, and what is with the thumb injuries this year? I think it was just dislocated. Because Sark said at the end of the game that he could have gone back in an emergency situation. He just didn't see the need for it. So Ryan Wingo should be good moving forward. But yeah, I think worlds different of an offense. Definitely, I think you can call this the best offensive performance. I mean, they turned it on last week against Mississippi State, but this is a much better opponent. And you saw what this team can do against a good opponent when they finally have all the pieces working. And I think a lot of Aggies are going to tell themselves now, we wish that we were playing the Longhorns a little bit earlier in the season.
I've said that. I mean, I've that's why I've said that all along. I fully expected and expect. And again, and
I mean, the same can be said for A&M. I would have rather played A&M before they figured out a lot of the things, especially defensively.
And I think A&M still has a lot of room to improve. We'll talk about that in a minute. But when you're looking at Texas, what'll be interesting moving forward, and people, there's 2 things can be true, right? Y'all barely eked by lower end SEC teams the last 2 weeks. I will say this: I think Mississippi State, ironically, the only team that kicked their asses in is A&M. They could have beaten Tennessee. They could have beaten Texas. They did beat Arizona State when Arizona State was healthy. There was another really close one there with somebody. They're going to beat somebody that's quality. And then they just went and beat Arkansas. That's a decent football team that used to suck. They're
much better than last year.
Yeah, and going into Starkville, I've always said, you go win on the road. Now, with that said, you've beaten 2 bad teams in overtime, and then a good team that you still are more talented than. And I think you handled them, though. I know there was that comeback. It felt like the Arkansas game, not really, though, because that was a little.
Honestly, it felt like the Vanderbilt game last year.
Yeah.
Texas did. I don't know if you remember. Texas did the same thing against Vanderbilt last year.
27-24,
kind of let them crawl back into it a little too close for comfort. And I mean, I know all the Aggies are going to be like, it's rich to hear Texas complaining about referees, but
this week you can.
I think every single team in the SEC has a right to have some kind of gripe with referees this season, because I feel like it's just gotten worse and worse. And I mean, some of the missed holding calls, I hate to just gripe about missed holding calls. They were pretty egregious. The most egregious thing, I don't even care to complain about the missed holding calls all upon that last drive. That 2-point conversion, I thought there was no way that they couldn't overturn that thing. And if you're an Aggie and saying that it's rich for me to be complaining about this, go back and watch that and imagine that is A&M playing Texas, and Texas is getting that 2-point conversion called good, and how that would. I think College Station would implode.
Oh, I think that was an awful call decision.
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Well, I'll tell you this: they're gonna hold. And they probably would have to call holding on every play in this conference with the way Colin Simmons is playing and the way Cassius Howell is playing. These poor offensive linemen are probably holding those guys 50% of the snaps.
Yeah, and then
they should call them.
The other thing that I think was kind of the turning point for, and I think this game would have been shut down over if this was called correctly, but the Emmett Mosley call that they originally called a touchdown, when it first happened, I was like, that wasn't a touchdown. That didn't look like a touchdown from the TV. And like I thought it obviously hit the ground. Refs on the field I thought it was obviously on the ground, should have been a PI, very obvious PI. And even if it was a touchdown, that flag should have been thrown.
Well,
but it wasn't called a touchdown.
There was some terrible officiating.
And the personal foul wasn't called. So there's just a couple things that, would have prevented the comeback. But I will say, I'm actually kind of, hindsight 2020, I'm kind of glad they had that, like, those last few garbage time touchdowns that made the defense sweat a little bit, because you know who that's not going to work again. If we're playing Georgia on the road, and you let them have a couple garbage touchdowns, you're not gonna come out that one good.
You sound like me after Arkansas, where I was like, hey, this is a wake-up call. Give the coach a reason
to yell at him this week.
As long as you win, that is what you call you love being able to do that. And I think I said this exact same thing to you when A&M came out of Arkansas, because I said they won, they're all happy. It is going to be a rough week for that defense. And they came out and they took it out on LSU, and that's obviously what you're going to want Texas to do. So what I was saying before we go on, so it doesn't matter, like, the last 3 weeks, what they've looked like. And I will say Vandy was much more impressive than the other two, in my opinion. And the best opponent of the three, by the way. But it doesn't matter. The number 3-0, and you go back to OU, and it's the number 4-0 after dropping that game against Florida. It doesn't matter anymore. You're going into a bye week very confident. And all that matters right now, as we sit here today, is now comes the big test. It's the one, and we'll talk about it next week after the bye, so we don't have to go into it, but it goes without saying that now comes the big test. So what do you have to do to beat Georgia in Athens? You better be confident, and you better have a couple of really good weeks believing you can win. And it helps if the fan base is excited and there's a ton of buzz there, and you feel like you're playing your best ball of the season. So check. Go ahead and give yourself the best chance to win. And we can talk crap, okay, fans of your rival and all that, just like Texas fans would do to A&M. The reality, though, is there's a number 4 and a number 0, and that's your last 4 SEC games. None of that other stuff matters. You're going to Athens to play a top 10 team that, by the way, and I had a lot of Texas fans tell me that I was trying to set something up. I'm watching Georgia play Florida. They are that close to losing that football game. All I'm saying, and this is not an insult to Texas, because A&M may play Georgia down the road. Georgia got their asses handed to them last year in the playoffs by Notre Dame, okay? They come out this year. They have played close games against Auburn, against Tennessee. That was overtime. Against Florida now.
They're a beatable-looking team.
Ole Miss went up and down the field on them. Now Georgia did the same. They are a very, by Georgia standards, they're a very beatable team. But obviously it's a 10 out of 10 tough test to go win it out. But I'm just saying, Texas has a chance. And if you're a Longhorn fan or you're a listener, you ought to walk around these next 2 weeks getting excited and believing you have a chance, because you do.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing too, or one of the big things too, is Texas has got to have a chip on their shoulder about this game.
Yeah.
You get beat twice last year by Georgia, SEC championship game that you probably should have won had your kicker not have been Bert Auburn.
Yeah.
But you got to have a chip on your shoulder about this game. And then I wanted to get back to this before we move on, because I saw your notes a little bit about the defense.
Yeah.
And how, Simmons looked incredible early. I think your notes here is it something to be concerned about those last couple plays? I don't think so, because I think one of the biggest things I saw one of the On Texas guys point this out, is what was sorely missed in this game was the communication in the backfield, because you're missing Michael Taff. You're going to get him back for Georgia, considering he was on the injury report as questionable this week, which was much earlier than you thought he would be back. I'm confident you're getting him back for Georgia. And Jelani McDonald also went out pretty early in this game, so that secondary took a hit there again. I think also they kind of needed that learning lesson to where you're leading a team by 20-something points. You can't get comfortable. They needed that lesson.
That's all. You're right. You just said it exactly. That's all communication. And, you put a senior All-American or senior guy that's played that much. He doesn't even have to be a
30-year-old football player.
He doesn't even have to be that good. He could just be a captain and a leader back there. In that aspect,
somebody.
The communication is such a big deal, and that's why veteran secondaries. That's why that was my thing about y'all secondary. My one question heading into the year, because you lost so much experience in those two guys, Makuba and Jahdae Barron. And then you take Taft out of that. That's 3 of 4 from last year. You were playing without yesterday. So, I wasn't really concerned. I was asking you, do you think the reason why was PK not being aggressive enough and going a little? No coach would ever call it prevent, but just going a little too cushiony and soft, or do you think that had to do with all the guys being banged up and it was just kind of a hodgepodge back there?
I think you could say it a little bit of both. A little bit of just you see the lead you have late in the fourth quarter, you get a little comfy, forgetting that you have a quarterback like Diego Pavia who plays like a little yappy Rottweiler that is not going to go down without a fight. And I think that's a great learning lesson for them of just you got to play 4 quarters of football, and that means you got to play through the entire fourth quarter. So, that's my takeaway there. And I'm glad that they have something to work on in the bye week, something to be yelled at. And that's what Sark said after the game. He was like, I'm kind of happy. It gives me something to yell at him for this week.
I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. And, we were texting. I was a little nervous at about 3 quarters through that game because that whole elite defense conversation and you guaranteeing me that it was going to be back at home, at least that fourth quarter rally took that away from you for at least another week.
They
were elite through 3. They were elite.
You can't lie that defense, it plays 4 quarters, and I don't think you're going to have the problem of that defense not playing 4 quarters against a team like A&M. No. You saw them against OU. The rivalry games are different. I think both teams are going to play 4 quarters in a rivalry.
And we're going to see it against Georgia, and we're going to see what 4 quarters looks like. And I think that's a fascinating game because I think Georgia's we'll talk about it next week. But so we got next week. We'll move ahead to next week here. We got a Texas bye coming up, so you guys can relax and exhale.
My heart rate needs desperately. I will be on the beach in Florida.
Oh, nice. The team needs it. Is this another? Don't tell me it's another bachelorette.
Oh, no. Okay. My boyfriend's family just invited me down to a Airbnb. They live in Minnesota, so they try to escape it once it gets a little chilly up there. So they rented an Airbnb for 2 weeks in Florida and invited to fly us down. So happy to oblige.
You can sit back and watch football and take notes this weekend. I'll let you in on a little something. Aggies play at 2:30. Okay, gotcha. Don't come on here next week and be like, I didn't watch it. You have your homework assignment if you miss it on the flight back. You can tune in.
I need YouTube TV to get it together so I can watch it.
That is fair.
You probably, I don't know if you can see it on this, but I have an antenna sitting in that window over there that I ordered on Amazon on Friday that got me through yesterday.
Yeah, that's a bad situation. Leave it to college football and the TV networks and everything to screw up a good thing. But the Aggies are going to Mizzou this weekend. This is it's A&M team that's 8-0. They're going on the road to face a ranked Missouri team that the last time we saw them, their starting quarterback broke I
think it was an ankle sprain. Not as serious as I thought, which good for him.
Yeah, good for him. I don't expect Bo Prabula to play this week. So they're going to be starting a freshman that I thought had acquitted himself pretty well against Vandy. I mean, that was I don't know if you remember the end of that game. They caught the Hail Mary at the 1 foot line, or that game would have gone to overtime. So Mizzou's defense is nasty. Okay, like they don't have the creatures like Colin Simmons and Anthony Hill.
Creatures, what a term.
But they have an elite pass rusher. They play a funky, very aggressive style. This is going to be a tough test for this A&M offense on the road.
And it's on the road.
And the Aggie defense has to face Ahmad Hardy, who's, I don't know if he's the best running back in the SEC, statistically is, but he's really damn good. And so, look, this is where you have to rely on your experience. And look, A&M they are 3-0 on the road this year, so you have to lean on that. They've gone out and performed away from home. It's kind of, though, like one of those games like you just, however you have to win it, you have to win it. And I don't know if it's going to be shut down defense, if it's going to be Marcel Reed in this offense, if it's going to be the running game, whatever it is, no matter what it looks like, the job is to come home 9-0 because, Amanda, if they do, remember, there's that game that you love to point out against Samford later in the year. So when you go 9-0, you're already at 10-0. So it might be
Don't count out Samford Bulldogs. Is that their mascot?
Yeah, even though they've got Jimbo Fisher's son as one of the kickers, I'm still counting. Still counting him out. I don't think he's hitting a walk-off at Kyle Field. But with that said, you win this game, and you got Samford, and you're at 10, and you got South Carolina, a struggling South Carolina team. I know Beamer fired his OC, Mike Shula, today. You've got them coming in a couple weeks. Like, you're in a position where if you win Saturday, you're probably in. And if you win Saturday, you'll be a pretty solid favorite to go into Austin. Like you said last week, you predicted that a week ago. You have a chance to go into Austin 11-0. I guess 1994 when they went like 11-0 and 1, whatever it was the last time they played Texas.
I was 1 year old when that happened, so I cannot confirm.
I remember it. Okay. We'll leave it at. I'm trying to get through a show without you making an old joke, so I just made it. So I took the power from you there.
I mean,
so I don't know. What do you think? You've got this game. Do you think it's something where you're circling it, going, man? Because it's going to be a rowdy environment. Alabama struggled to win there. Like I said, they took Vandy to the last play, but they're also, Amanda. There's a reality to this that we have to talk about. They haven't really played anyone. They rallied to take Auburn to overtime where they won.
I mean, your game against Auburn was close too, and I think a lot of it has to do with that defense, most likely.
It's a good Auburn defense, but you watch A&M play Auburn, and I think they outgained them 400 and something to 100 and something. Vandy and Auburn were like even. Missouri and Auburn were looked like even teams, and then
I didn't realize their Alabama game was so close. I was focused on OU that weekend. I'm pretty sure
Bama was fortunate to beat them. Bama was fortunate, but Amanda, we'll talk about it in a minute. I got Bama circled. They are. I've got them on watch, and I'm going to tell you why in a minute. But yeah, so what do you think? Do you feel confident in A&M, or are you watching that one going, that's a tricky environment because it's November, it's on the road, it's against a team that still has something to play for, and they're really good on one side of the ball. They're really good. I
think this is one. I mean, I'm a little bit more worried about this one for A&M than I have been previous games. Who did y'all play? Ellis. I would say I'm more worried for y'all for this game than I was for the LSU game. As weird as that sounds, I think Mizzou's a more talented team, even without the quarterback situation. And I feel like I just have an itching feeling that this is one of those SEC games that could get weird where the better team struggles. But I do think it's one where A&M still pulls away. They're just not comfortable with how it happened. Similar to, let's say, like the Mississippi State or Kentucky game, how Texas won those games, but they weren't necessarily ones where they felt super great about them after the fact. So I'm not saying I think A&M will lose this game. It's just one where if I was a fan of A&M, I'd be a little bit more unsteady going into this one. But I think I told you I predicted A&M's going to Austin 11-0. but this is one of the ones you have left other than Texas. This is probably the one I'm most worried about, which is obvious. You're playing South Carolina and Stanford otherwise, but
before the season, I thought this was going to be one that they were going to just go up there and win. As I started watching Missouri, even against bad teams, I was going, man, they're really fast on defense. They get after the quarterback. The running back's really good. A&M needs to eat up their passing game and get after a freshman quarterback. That's the part of the game I'd watch to see if the Aggies can win comfortably. Otherwise, it's going to be a 4-quarter dogfight. But like I said, the goal here is to just come home undefeated. Stay at number 3. Who knows? Maybe move up, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Just keep winning. And if you keep winning, we are starting to look. There's a lot between now and then. An A&M road trip to a ranked Missouri team. A Texas road trip to a top 10 Georgia team that had Texas's number last year in a real road environment. Those are 2 massive hurdles. And then Texas has to get by that Arkansas offense and my boy Bobby P.
Annoying Arkansas team.
Annoying Arkansas team and my boy Bobby P. And A&M's got to get by Lenora Sellers and a new offense that who knows what it's going to look like. So tricky ones in one game, really difficult ones in the other. But if they do, and this is why I think things got testy last night on Twitter, I think everyone's starting to feel like we're in each other's way for the first time this year, because it just didn't. Early in the year, you guys weren't thinking about A&M being in your way. Middle of the season, up until 8 days ago when you're down 17 to Mississippi State, I think Aggie fans were going, okay, they're done. That's over with. And that was my whole joke about those when I said the other tweet where I said you have one job. The joke was you could have stopped this. And I don't mean everybody's going, oh, you're scared of Texas. I've always said that's going to be a tough game. You know that. Never once have I said.
But I mean, wouldn't you rather be playing a Texas that's ranked in the top 20? Because if Texas lost to Mississippi State, they would not be ranked in the top 25.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I know what you're saying, and the answer is yes. You want that game to be epic, you know.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was last year. Last year was the same situation where.
Well, we kind of screwed it up with Auburn, though.
Yeah, kind of in reverse, though, where you're at that game and you're like, whoa, when either team wins this game, they're going to the SEC championship. Yeah. And that's pretty exciting for the first couple years of renewing this rivalry. I mean, I think you yourself would personally prefer that being the case rather than it being a 5-7 Texas team in the Big 12 that's just stinking it up. And it's not any fun when it's, I mean, you would have a great time. But at the same time,
what I'm saying, and other people didn't realize it. Even Malik Jefferson, who I love, was like, come on, Billy. But what I'm saying is, man, if Mississippi State doesn't rough Arch Manning on that 4th down, the season's over. And all I meant was it would have been a month of like as close to peace and quiet from your rival fan base as you can get. And there is something nice about that.
You say that? I thought we'd get some peace and quiet from OU after we beat the living hell out of them.
That's true.
But you've seen them on social media since. They're still yapping away. And I had a quote tweet the other day of, I've never heard a louder fan base after they take beatings 2 years straight to where they can't even score a touchdown against their rival. I mean, I was in college through Charlie Strong. I don't remember getting beat that bad from an OU team when our team was horrendous. Strong. But Brent Vegetables has this team in a state where he can't even score a touchdown against his rival, and you as a fan are still flapping your jaw?
Let's talk about burnt vegetables, Chet Venables, as we move into our Around the SEC segment. Nice segue there, because he had himself a big one last night.
He did.
And Tennessee and Josh Heupel, Amanda, last week we put them on fraud alert. And I put them on fraud alert, and I have not. I like what Heupel's done there. I think there was too much overhype. They got their teeth kicked in the playoffs last year. They couldn't. They melted down.
I've never trusted Tennessee.
And
I mean, and people are going to put John Mateer back on Heisman watch.
no, they won't.
Okay, let me read.
Not.
No, they'll try to, and let me read you John Mateer's stats: 1,900 yards, 8 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
That's
you
the
want
number.
To know Arch Manning's stats in comparison?
Sure.
I gotta Google them real quick.
Well,
but
they're more, but the bottom line is Arch.
I think it's closer to 15 touchdowns, 2,100 yards, and 6 interceptions.
Mateer threw he kept them in the game last night with that late pick. Look, at the end of the day, OU is what OU is. They're tough. I'd say they're good on defense. Tennessee was shredding them. And the Vols turned it over.
Yeah, John Mateer didn't have a single touchdown last night.
Yeah, and the Vols turned. Well, OU had a defensive touchdown. I
also fell asleep during that game, so please forgive me.
I know why.
I was knocked out from watching the 3 straight on ABC, not moving from my sofa all day.
Then I'll carry you on this one. Tennessee turned the ball over 3 times in the first half. Had OU outgained by way more than 2-1 in the first half. They were on pace for about 500 yards. But they were trailing at halftime. They gave up through a bad interception right before the break. Instead of being down a couple, they were down like 5. It was just a Tennessee will go back and rewatch that game and have no idea how they lost other than to look at themselves. But it doesn't matter. Like we say, it doesn't matter. OU went on the road in Knoxville at night in a blackout game. Dark mode, as they call it, and they beat a ranked team on the road and ended their playoff chances. Tennessee, their fans, I'll tell you this, in Rocky Top, they're not happy right now. I don't really blame Heupel because
I saw the yapping before the game of how OU and Tennessee were just kind of mutually not happy with how things were going.
Yeah.
I have way too many Sooners that pop up on my feed for my liking, and I don't know why that is, but I saw the conversations.
Tennessee, it's interesting because Heupel lost Nico right before the season, and Joey Aguiar is the best they could do, and he's done a really nice job. That's a really weird, tough situation to be in. But guess what? In the day and age of NIL, you picked Nico. That was your choice. That's the guy you went all in on. The same thing with people that pick DJ Lagway, the people that, Texas went all in on Arch Manning. I'll credit Lane Kiffin because he went and found a guy named Trinidad Chambliss out of Division II to kind of, back himself, hedge his bets against Austin Simmons, who hadn't played.
Don't count us lowly D2 and D3 players. We can be good as well. I was recruited D1, but went D3.
He should be your favorite player, Trinidad Chambliss. But you get what I'm saying. These coaches picked their guy, and A&M picked Marcel. Like they had a chance to go pull some name guys from the portal when Elko got here, and he said, "No, I've got Connor Wigman, and then I've got Marcel Reed." And then when Wigman left, they could have gone shopping, but they didn't. They said, "No, this is our guy," and you build it around him. And Heupel picked Nico, period. So that problem is kind of on his hands and their GM and all that. So anyway, Tennessee out. OU kept their hopes alive. Texas kept their hopes alive. I don't know how much longer OU's will stay because they got Bama coming up in a couple weeks.
I just don't trust OU. I don't trust. I think they're going to get really high after this Tennessee win. And when I said OU was cooked, that was not me saying I think they're going to lose out.
Yeah.
That was me saying I think they're going to lose a couple more crucial ones that will leave fans unhappy with the coaching situation because I don't blame them if I can't remember. Did Brent Vegetables get there around the same time as Sark? He's like 4 years.
Was he 1 year later or
1 year later?
Yeah.
If this was my 4th year under a head coach, I would not be happy. I would not be happy with the fact you can't score a touchdown against your rival. I would not be happy that it seems you took a massive regression when you went into a new league that you knew you were joining since you took this job. You knew what kind of preparation it takes to play in a league like this, regardless of the schedule you're handed. Even if OU was handed Texas's schedule, I don't think they would have been. They may have won one or two more games last season.
Yeah, that wasn't a good football team last year.
It was not a good football team. You can complain about schedules all you want. When you look like duty against every team you're playing, you got to put up a fight if you're playing, and it just didn't look like the case. I don't know. If I was an OU fan, I would be pretty upset with how vastly unprepared it seems that Brent, I can't even remember his last name now. I'm so used to calling him Vegetables. BV had them coming into the league, and I think Aggies would feel the exact same.
I picked them. I picked Tennessee to win that game, and we wrestled with it, and I think we both just said, "Hey, they're at home. They're probably going to win." It kind of came down to that. But OU fans should be happy this week. Mm-hmm. But for them, it would take look. They still have to play LSU. They still have to play Bama. They still have to play Missouri.
I think LSU looks a little more beatable for them, but I think is LSU a better team than Tennessee at this point?
No, probably not this week, but they have it in them to be as good. I think, again, there's a lot of teams that are kind of all bunched up right now. There's no question about it.
I think it's like A&M, Alabama at the top, weird blob of teams that you kind of are just confusing. I mean, I feel like Texas is probably one of the most confusing teams in the SEC right now. I saw somebody make that take of just like Texas is so confusing.
They are.
I agree. Our O-line looked like a different team this week, so color me confused.
It's so weird because, like, I'm having a hard time with your Longhorns because I'm not, and I'm not, and this is not like, I'm not going to give them too much credit for the teams that they're beating, just like A&M in the last few weeks. I'm not giving too much credit for barely beating. It would be like if A&M did that with Arkansas 3 weeks in a row. Yeah, Vandy's better. Don't get me wrong, but Texas
and that game just looked different. That's
what I was going to say. If you're watching it though, and you're being honest, you can go into like nitpicking, but you can see a team that's getting better and has talent. That you can see an O-line that was absolute shit that is showing signs of improvement.
I agree with that take fully.
I know it's Vandy, and Georgia's defensive front will give them a different test, but they played better, and they're going into 2 weeks of practice now.
I mean, Vandy doesn't have a bad defense.
No,
so
they don't.
And fans should feel a little bit better about that they played a team with a competent defense, protected Arch well. I think a lot of it also came back to a little bit different style of play calling. Mm-hmm. Arch got the ball out quicker, also reactivated the run game, which has been sorely missed. And I think a lot of the run game issues have rooted back to just the injury plague. And thank God a lot of these injuries were not season ending because I don't know how much you know about CJ Baxter.
Yeah, I know that story though.
The poor kid just completely destroyed his knee. And we had a doctor on a former Texas Longhorn player that is now an orthopedic surgeon on Texas Football last week talk about this injury. And he said the type of injury CJ Baxter had was one where a lot of athletes never come back from it.
Wow.
A lot of athletes, it takes them up to 2 years to come back from. And the reason he probably had hamstring issues earlier this season, and I can attest to this because I had knee surgery a couple months ago.
Yeah.
When you are immobile for that long, obviously you have to rebuild some muscle, but until you go through it, I can't even explain the type of muscle tightness I had. I thought I was having, and I just had cartilage damage. So I was fully weight bearing the day after my surgery, and with an injury like his, he's non-weight bearing for months.
Yeah.
I had the most insane quad tightness that I have ever felt. I thought I was having blood clots in my leg. And so when you're having to completely, I can't. I do a lot of yoga. I still can't get into child's pose. My surgery was on the 31st.
I don't know what that is, but I'm going to take your word for
where
it.
you fully bend your knee to its full flexation. I still can't fully bend my knee to its full flexation. And it's just, you have to completely just retrain and re-stretch those muscles. So pulling something is just so easy. So the fact that he's dealing with that and came back from it and he looks good again, that's a big piece, because him and Wisner together is a much better package than either one on its own. And Wisner obviously was dealing with some stuff earlier this season as well.
So what I'll sum all this up in, if you're a Longhorn and you're watching A&M play and you're telling yourself you're not that impressed with it. Now, if you want to say, I don't think they're the best, not you. No.
I don't want to cut you off, but I have a comment that it just came to my brain, and I don't want to forget it again because I thought about it earlier.
Don't let me forget mine, though.
I won't let you forget yours, but this one, it was a retweet or delete that I wanted to pull on CJ Vogel in one of our shows, because before this season, he said he thought the OU game was going to be a whole lot tougher than the A&M game for Texas. And this entire season, he's been hyping up OU. And I brought it up again. I'm like, well, do you think the OU game is going to be tougher than what we see in November? He was like, nope. Yeah. I would delete that one now. So
and I like that.
Fans would be happy to hear that.
Yeah, we're moving goalposts, and during the season, it's a moving target. Like you said, I would have loved to have played Texas 3 weeks ago. Here's the deal.
I would love to play A&M with the run defense they had against UTSA.
Yeah, these teams evolve, and some do it slower than others, and it's usually the teams that do it faster are, guess what? Surprise, surprise. Look at Texas last year and look at A&M this year. What do they have in common? Both those teams are very experienced football teams. And that was the biggest thing A&M had going for it. But what I was going to say is, if you're looking at A&M and you're a Longhorn, if you want to say, I don't think they're the number one team in the country, I don't think they're a top five, that's all fine. But if you're looking at them and you're not going, that's a really good football team this year, then you either don't know ball, or you're lying. And if you look at Texas,
like the refs at the game last week, I'm sorry,
the three blind mice. If you're an Aggie fan and you're looking at Texas these last few weeks and you just go overtime against Kentucky, if you're watching closely and you're not acknowledging this is a team that's definitely getting better, then again, you either don't want to acknowledge it or you don't know ball. They're getting better. It's clear. Now, the tests will come. And just like for A&M, it's not an 8-game season. It's an 11. It's not a 12. There's Samford in it. It's an 11-game season. It's a 12-game season. You're 2/3 done. You're not done. So both these teams still have a lot of work to do. I think we hit most of this SEC stuff. We talked OU. We talked Tennessee. We actually talked Georgia. I feel bad for DJ Lagway. I wish he would get out of Florida. I know he said he's going to stay. I know he's going to wait to see who the coach is. I admire the loyalty. I just think he needs.
He's a likable kid.
He's a great young man. But I just think he needs a change of scenery. I just think that football-wise turned out to be a bad choice. I'd love to see him move. They just can't. And he's part of it. They can't quite make that play. They can't quite get over the hump because they should have won that game on Saturday. But they're done. Tennessee's done.
That would have been a crazy shakeup. Florida winning that game.
Vandy's pretty much out of the SEC championship game mix. We can move them out. You know who else is done? Hugh Freeze. And I don't think we need to spend much time on that.
No. Our friend Peyton was at that game. She got to see the final. Hugh Freeze left before it was when she sent me the halftime score, I was like, oh, y'all picked a fun one to go.
That reminded me of an A&M game a few years ago in Jimbo's 5-7 season where I think A&M was down 6-3 most of the game, and then it was 13-3, and then we scored to make it 13-10. It was brutal. But Auburn, look, all I'll say is this. Hugh Freeze sucked. That turned out to be a tragically bad hire, comically bad hire.
The coaching carousel this season is just so fascinating.
Look at the jobs open.
They're
LSU,
good jobs.
some of the best. LSU, Florida, Penn State, and now Auburn. Just
Auburn,
that.
yep.
That doesn't count.
Oklahoma State,
Arkansas, Oklahoma State, Virginia Tech, UCLA. And by the way, we just started November.
Are there enough coaches to go around to fill these roles? I don't think there's going to be enough of the hot coaches on the market that are going to want to fill these roles. So it should be some interesting hires we see out of this cycle.
That's a good point. But that just only thing I'll say about Auburn, it just added to the wildest coaching carousel I think we're ever gonna see. And then special shout out to SMU. Just because it's your backyard.
Honestly, you should have gone to that game. You should have gone to that game.
I know.
Did you see they tore down the goalposts?
Yeah.
And there's a video circulating online of some of the kids carrying the goalposts and then a motorcycle SMU cop pulling up and just being like, sorry, guys, I got to do it. And they ran off.
Oh, my God. Only there. I didn't know where they were going to take them. Were they going to bring them to Highland Park Village and dump them over there?
It's not really a body of water to throw them in around there.
Yeah, I don't know what they were going to do.
Run down to Turtle Creek or something?
Maybe so. But no, that was big for SMU. They've had a hell of a run since joining the ACC, but that conference race is so wide open now. And Georgia Tech and my boy Haynes King, unfortunately, they took it on the chin against an upset-minded NC State. Really got it handed to them. I think the ACC, there's a real chance now that this is going to be a one-bid league, or at least it creates this. So that helps the SEC, and it may really help Texas or A&M, like a 10-2 A&M or a 9-3 Texas, because
a 10-2 A&M. I don't think it's a 10-2 A&M at this point. I think
if it was.
Yeah.
If it was a 10-2 A&M, or if it's a 9-3 Texas because of the quality of y'all's wins, like a 9-3 Texas that beat A&M, we don't want that. But if that happened, you're 9-3.
You don't want that. Don't put we into this.
we don't. But with that coming into play, the SEC now has a much better shot, I think, of getting a fifth team. And what's going to happen is, if Miami runs the table and doesn't go to the ACC title game, which it does not look like they will, the team that might get left out, it could come down to Miami and Notre Dame, where that fifth SEC team is actually ahead of both of them, and there's one spot to be had between a 10-2 Notre Dame and a 10-2 Miami. Now, you want to talk about a dilemma. Those two teams play.
They're Notre Dame every day.
Well,
there's a Notre Dame bias, just like there's people accuse people of an SEC bias.
But how do you, and I agree with what you just said. A&M fell victim to that in 2020 with the playoff selection. It was a very.
You can pull the tweet on me where I said in 2020, if I was A&M, I would be mad that I was left out of the playoffs. I thought A&M should have made the playoffs that year. So going on record saying that for all the Aggies saying I'm just a hater.
Well, and Notre Dame lost to Miami, but when those decisions are made at the start of December, they lost to them in August. And if Notre Dame's doing this on a 10-game winning streak and Miami's doing this, but Miami beat them head up. Sorry, you didn't realize it, but you had a playoff game in August. That would be my opinion. I'm with you, though. I think the committee might send a horrific message. I kind of hope it doesn't come down to that, because I think the committee will send the wrong message. Notre Dame will be the better team at the time of the selection. I think the whole country would know it, but Miami beat them. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So anyway, you said
kind of how the ranking, like when Texas and OU are so close in ranking, like back to back in the coaches poll. If only you had a head to go off of there to figure out who you should rank above the other. Some Aggie responded to me, well, you shouldn't lose to Florida. Okay, well, there's a head-to-head there, and a very dominant head-to-head.
Yeah, when you're that close, you don't automatically rank a team ahead because they beat them. Because
it's not like I'm asking Texas to be in the top 5. They should just be ahead of the team they should beat.
Well, especially when you're both 2-loss teams and you're that close. I agree. It's one of the things we agree with. Back in 2020, when you were tweeting about A&M and Notre Dame and the Aggies, we agreed with that too. What we didn't agree on was last night, and we've been feuding since before that 2020 season, I think, or probably around then. But we had some fun last night. We were people saw our competitive side. It made it all the way. To the Barstool Saturday night show where Casey brought it up and it became a topic.
I love that.
So I did it just because you caught so much hell this week. I finally, a day later, said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not denying you got me. Okay, I will own the L on that one and. But we had some fun last night, and at some point, I don't know when it was, but it stopped being fun for yours truly. And everybody knew it too. And Casey was texting me like, "Get out."
And I was like, "Oh, what I loved is my first and 12 ounces pod response with the GIF of you physically moving."
Oh, my cartoon face move. Yeah, that was good.
Yes, that was great.
That you can you can use that whenever you want because it made me laugh when I saw it.
Yeah, that's very funny. So, do you want to give some insight into this? Okay, so you responded to a tweet. Well, first you tweeted the Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Vandy. You had one job. So my response was a fun GIF saying, "Wow, someone's obsessed." And then you responded saying, "Are we calling this a top 10 win? Like OU, Vandy will drop out after the L." Mind you, if this was a joke, this does not read like a joke, Billy.
No.
You need to toss in there, haha, like Texas fans
like a little winking emoji, maybe.
Yeah. So this does not read like a joke, and I don't know if you actually meant for it to be a joke at first or if that was just your cover. But I decided to hit you with a little quote tweet that says, "Guys, I'm sorry, we can't call this a top 10 win. Billy says so."
That was here's the deal about that quote tweet. When you put some like snarky, sarcastic
dry humor, we're not going to call it snarky.
Yeah,
my humor was developed by the Gilmore Girls, so it's very, very dry.
That was on the tail end of my CW watching, so I am familiar with the Gilmore Girls and One Tree Hill. But yeah, so when you get going with your wit and dry humor and apply it to an inflammatory tweet by me, that is kind of the like winning formula for you because it is going to that is what every time is going to get the comments and the people, and then your friend Casey responding really didn't help you out there. Well,
Casey
she was texting me saying, "Stop! Like you're not
stop! You're already dead."
Yeah, she's like, "You're not gonna pull this one out." But the thing was, here's what's funny is we've had Longhorn people like that we both know. Say like, man, it's not fair because like I've got X number of followers, and when he says something like this whole army comes in behind, I will put your ability to stir up the masses against me it's pretty like it's pretty crazy.
My baby following of like 16.8 thousand.
Like they all are coming.
I think it just enters like once if it's a really good response, it gets retweeted. It enters non-follower territory.
I think. Go ahead.
Your quote tweet response to that was, "This entire exchange started with me trolling every Texas fan who has discounted top 10 wins and ranked wins after those teams subsequently dropped in the rankings." Which, if it was trolling, I just felt like you would have made it pretty clear that you were trolling to save yourself there. And so I said, Billy is sitting here acting like he always counts ranked wins based on what the teams were ranked at the time. But it's funny because when this tweet went out last year, Texas had beat number 7 Michigan, number 18 OU, and number 25 Vandy. Were you trolling here too? Weird attempt. And your tweet was from 11/13/24. It said ranked wins 2024, A&M 2, Texas 0.
Yeah.
And because every team we beat last year did drop out of the rankings eventually, and the last team we beat that was ranked last year also dropped out of the rankings, and I think we all know who that team was.
So, here's the deal. I shouldn't have sent that because I had already lost. Like that is the.
Then I think you finally did wave the white flag.
I did. I literally because it was just like you were going to keep going. And I don't even know. I believe you, but you said you had a lot more. I think you said you had a lot more bangers. So yeah, that was probably my low point on that app last night, and I bowed out. And you were right about everything because, and this is what. People will hate this, but the reality is I'm the one that came in talking shit, period. So
you didn't have to do that to yourself.
As you said, and when you said I
try to not do that when the other team is better than mine.
When you said I've got time over here, I should have stopped. That's when I should have taken my cue. But you were right in that I was trying to say it like, hey, I've heard this crap before from y'all, but what I didn't
say that's you didn't clarify.
But what I didn't account for, here's what I didn't account for, and this is where you have to know your opponent. You have to know who's.
You've also heard it from yourself before. Is the problem?
That was the thing. You have to know who you're in the ring, in the octagon with, and it is the person that has the files. I don't have my own files. So I should have known that there was going to be something out there like you pulled where I'm doing the exact same thing. That's where I lost. That's what.
To clarify here, I'm not saying that. Like I am of the opinion that you say like, oh, Texas fans do this too. I don't think it's right if and when Texas fans do that, and those aren't the kind of Texas fans that I follow. So I don't really see it too much. But I just thought it was, and both fan bases do this kind of stuff. It's a weird metric of how do you evaluate these teams when a team like, let's say Michigan, comes into the season highly ranked because they were a great team last year. You beat the hell out of them. They end up not being the team you thought they were. Same thing can be said for LSU this season. Same thing could be said for a Clemson. How do you equate those wins when it comes to the end of the road? But the fact of the matter is, the week of the game, you played the team. They were ranked in the top 10. It's a top 10 win. Just like I would say Notre Dame for A&M was a top 10 win at the beginning of the season. And I mean, it's still a quality win because Notre Dame's still ranked even if their schedule's trash.
And you are 1,000% right, and I actually completely agree. There's two things here at play. When the Texas Longhorns and Steve Sarkisian, both as a head coach and as a program, when you go top 10 wins since 2020 or top 5 wins or wins over number 1, it doesn't matter where the team finished for Texas, for A&M, for LSU, for any school or coach.
I'm glad you've grown since this 11-13 tweet, and you can go back and say, never mind, Texas had 3 ranked wins.
Would it make you happy if I quote tweet that today and do that? Would that?
I mean,
because I know you're sitting on more like
looking at the like counts. I think.
Yeah, you. I mean, that was
brutal.
It was brutal. Like you just said last night.
You just think this stuff gets lost in the replies, but a lot of times, honestly, it's not even me. It's my friend Peyton sending me. She's like, I see you in these replies, Billy.
She's an instigator. I know. She's told me that. She's like, I'm watching you, and I know that it's you that's getting them. And I just lost bad last night, but it's okay because the Aggies are 8-0. But here's the thing.
Focus on the good things, not trying to take down an opponent that you haven't even played yet.
By the way, it really pissed me off. One of them where you said, even for you, this is like
this is
next level coping, and it got like 200 likes. Like I was like, I don't even know how anybody even saw that. But here's the deal. ranked wins count as that, but as the season goes on, like you just alluded to, so like A&M's top 10 win over Notre Dame this year looks a lot more significant than their top 10 wins over LSU or Missouri last year.
Yeah.
You know, just like your top 10 win over Vandy may be over an 8-4 Vandy team. You beat a top 10 Michigan team that was 6-6 or whatever, 7-5. But if you go beat Georgia, that top 10 win, even though they both count, and hey, how many top 10 wins does Texas have? Well, guess what? You'll have another one on the ledger. It counts the same as Vandy, but it means more. And so A&M's win over Notre Dame. At the end of the road. Yeah, like so it is an actual moving goalpost. It's a moving target.
But it's necessary. It's a necessary moving target to effectively evaluate wins and losses, I think.
I'll give you an example. It would be like Notre Dame last year beating A&M looked great and everything, but at the point that A&M was 7-1 and ranked in the top 10 and beating the brakes off a top 10 LSU team, that week Notre Dame, as they're trying to get in the playoffs after losing to Northern Illinois, is like, my God, please let A&M keep winning because that's the best thing that could happen for us. So it does move with you, but I agree. I should not have tweeted that, especially when you had the backup ammo that I should have freaking known. I mean, my God.
Well, Billy has grown in the past year tremendously. So we'll give you that.
Enjoy. You got 2 wins yesterday, so it was big.
Great Saturday for me.
Both of them just sitting on your couch. It took Arch Manning got you one, and I got you one. So you're welcome.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
So let's speak. I'm sorry. You got 3. I'm not apologizing to you. I'm saying I'm sorry. You got 3 wins. You also won the pick'em.
I mean, honestly, you were way closer this week than I think a lot of people thought you were. You picked some really good upsets that I think a lot of people did not think would happen, including me. So congrats there. It's still pretty close on our overall picks.
Well, you took your first.
Being up by 2 for the weeks.
Yeah, so you took your first lead of the season, actually. You're up 1 pick overall, which is crazy.
That's insane.
10 weeks in. But where I've got the bigger problem, I'm going to try to win one of the 2, okay? So I'm almost giving up. You're up 6-3-1 weekly, so doubled up now. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm going to try to not lose the individual record, which I think is the most important.
Oh, yeah, of course. Now you think it's...
But 6-3-1, and you won that one this week by 1 game, and it came down to the nightcap because I had Cincinnati.
I think the thing that's killing me is that France weekend where I was just completely distracted, just like 4 rosé glasses deep when we're recording.
I think you lost 2 of the 3 losses you came on that trip.
I went like 1-9 that week, and that set me back on the total count pretty far. So
I mean, you've rallied, and
I blame Villefranche-sur-Mer and the lovely rosé in the Provence region.
So, and that was like a nice sober couple weeks for me. I wasn't doing much traveling, sitting here. I don't do much of that at home. So, yeah, I took advantage of it, but it's still, now you've caught me. So now I have to rally. So it's 6-3-1. We actually came down to the final game last night. You were sound asleep. It was Utah and Cincinnati, and the Utes just kicked their ass. So, we'll pick now this week. Let's go. Do you have the list in front of you?
Yes,
I've got 9. I've got 9, so we'll add one later. We'll just text about it. But let's start at the bottom and work our way up.
Texas Tech beat the living brakes off of Kansas State last week.
They did. That was one of your wins. I tried to go upset there. Why is someone trying to get me to go see the Bruce
weird
Springsteen
upset pick for me?
So starting at the bottom.
Oh, this one's tough. Florida at Kentucky.
Yeah. What do you think on that? That's at Kentucky.
At Kentucky.
I think
I'm conflicted.
I think I'm going to ride with these guys for 1 more week. I'm going to ride with Florida to score an away win. I'm going to ride with them 1 more week.
I think Florida's offense is better.
Yeah, but I'm not I don't know. I'm not tempting you. You have to pick. I'm not.
I'm going Florida too.
Okay, I think I'm going to stick with Florida. Kentucky's offense has been playing slightly better. They've played Texas and Auburn 2 of the last 3 weeks. I'm going to go Florida as well.
Okay.
Iowa State at TCU.
I got to see how TCU's been doing.
I think they
beat West Virginia. That was my pick last week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going TCU. It's at TCU.
Mm-hmm. I like Matt Campbell more than I like Sonny Dykes. I'm going to go with the Cyclones in that one. I think they're coming off, they're coming off that loss to BYU. I think that was a heartbreaker for them. They looked so good. And
Arizona. They lost to Arizona State this weekend too.
Without Levitt. Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah.
FSU, I don't even know what to do with this one.
Oof.
Florida State at Clemson. Florida State, I thought, was done. They beat the crap out of Wake Forest, who just beat SMU a week earlier. Clemson just lost to Duke. Dabo's openly talking about if he's getting fired or not.
That's kind of sad. I'm going to go Clemson. I think they're back. It's one of those backs against the wall games. Gotta win.
I don't know what to do there.
That's a weird one.
I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go with Clemson there as well at home.
Right. We got Auburn at Vandy. I'm Vanderbilt on this one. I think Pavia's mad. He comes back and he plays mad.
I'm going upset on that one. The interim head coach, Florida almost won with it. Petrino almost clipped A&M and Tennessee. That interim head coach thing is weird. Auburn's been waiting to get rid of Hugh Freeze. I think it's going to be like a weights off, and I think Vandy's going to have. They've had 3 really emotional games in a row. They had Texas. They had college.
Yeah, man, that
day.
game was getting chippy at the end. Diego Pavia throwing the ball at the Texas defender.
Yeah,
that was.
So I'm going to go 3 weeks of emotion. I think Vandy's going to have a letdown. Oregon at Iowa. That's a really interesting Big Ten game. It's a really interesting game to me. Oregon's done nothing all year because they haven't played anyone but Indiana. And Iowa's quietly like getting better and better, and it's at home there in the play. Oregon's going halfway.
That's a good point. Oregon's beat Wisconsin, got beat by Indiana. God, don't you wish you had this schedule?
Yes, and that's what the people like in the Big Ten honks don't understand. Pick any Big Ten schedule.
I think over half the SEC would potentially win out on this schedule.
Yep.
Like,
no question.
This is pathetic.
Who do you got?
All right. Dang, Iowa beat the brakes off of our poor Golden Gopher.
Yeah, they did.
It's at Iowa.
Yep.
You go first.
I'm gonna go.
I'll win the upset, aren't you?
No,
I'm going Oregon.
I'm gonna go with Iowa at home. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the upset.
Is it? What's this? I didn't even check the spread.
Oregon's ranked 6. Iowa's unranked. So feel like that's going to be an upset.
I think that might be a closer point spread. I'm going to go with the Hawkeyes. I watched them a couple weeks ago. They're trying to get to 10-2. And this is the game that can get them there. If they win this game, they're probably going 10-2. This Oregon has not beaten a team this good yet. I'm going to go Iowa. People are going to laugh at it, and I'm going to be right.
Okay. I mean, you've been good at picking the upset, so I'm not going to say anything.
Speaking of, this LSU at Bama. I think we can be Bama. Yeah. I like the new interim bounce. I don't like it. The only way I would be interested is if I find out that LSU's starting Michael Van Buren at quarterback.
I think LSU OU will be a more interesting. I think LSU will probably get that one, but I don't think Bama. I think Bama's too put together of a football team, and I think OU's still
2 more.
Hit or miss.
Well, we got 3 more. BYU. This is the game of the year in the Big 12. Undefeated BYU at 1-loss Texas Tech.
Give me the Mormons. BYU.
Really? Wow. In Lubbock.
Give me the Mormons.
Wow. I'm going Tech at home. I'm going
I
Texas
picked
Tech.
Tech last week. I gave Tech their pick last week. I want the upset in Lubbock this week.
I'll say this. I'm going Tech at home. If
I mean, I can't blame. Is that what time's that game at?
I don't know, but if
Probably 11 a.m. It's Tech.
Yeah,
They cannot catch a break on those kickoff times.
If BYU wins there, I think they're legitimate top 10 and probably going 12.
Oh, it is 11 a.m. That is criminal. That is criminal.
That's like 9 a.m. for BYU, isn't it? Or is
I mean,
10?
Lubbock is used. I can count on one finger the number of night games I went and covered at Texas Tech. I covered Texas Tech football for 3 years. The singular night game was Texas Tech.
I feel like every time A&M played Tech down the stretch, it was at night. Every damn time.
I think OU was also at night. I think the OU game, but otherwise 11 a.m. kick. Wow. And it pissed me off because I had to drive down from Amarillo, which made it a struggle. I was like, can we at least get a 2 p.m. up in here?
Golly.
I was mad for them.
The last two, Georgia at Mississippi State. Is there any way that Mississippi State, after saving y'all's season, can knock Georgia out of the top 10 heading into your showdown with the Bulldogs?
I think there's a chance, honestly. I think there's a little more fighting spirit in Mississippi State. They held what is looking like a much better Texas team. They were the dominant team for a good portion of that game. I think there's a chance, but I personally need Georgia to win this game, so I'm picking Georgia. I would rather a Georgia come in off of a high than I like a team off of a win more than I like a team off of a loss.
I'm going to set myself up here because I need to win this whole week, and I need to make up a game. So now I'm in desperation mode, but I'm also Georgia has played every SEC game almost, maybe there's one exception, down to the wire. Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, Florida, and Alabama, Tennessee, Auburn, and Ole Miss. Every single SEC game could have gone either way. Mississippi State's on the flip side of that until they finally won here. The only Mississippi State game, and by the way, they were down 7-3 to the Aggies at halftime. A&M went on a 28-0 run or a 24-0 run to go up 31-3. But at halftime, that was a 7-3 game. I'm going upset. This is in honor.
I would not be mad about an upset here either. They would make our win look a little bit better.
This is in honor of Brandon Walker, as Josh Pate said. Brandon Walker's soul was taken. I'm happy
he got some happiness finally.
I think he's going to get even more happiness. They got the Barstool crew going there this weekend. Portnoy, Big Cat, Casey, Walker. He's going to be like, this is like the Brandon Walker redemption Saturday. I'm picking Mississippi State. And Brandon, when it happens, I want credit for it, not you. And finally, A&M at Missouri. I think we've talked a lot about this. I'll tell you, I'm gonna pick A&M in a very close game, more low scoring than maybe you would think. I think Aggies in a like 27-23, 28-23. Like I think it's going to be a maybe even 24-20 type of game. Like I think it's going to be a fist fight. But I like A&M to just, like I said earlier, man, to just figure it out and get out of there a winner.
I'm picking A&M too. I mean, I think this is another game you should handle, but you'll probably be sweating more than you like about it.
Yeah.
But I'm picking A&M as well.
All
Aggies
right.
should be happy about that because I'm pretty solid on my A&M picks thus far this season.
And y'all want me to keep picking against Texas.
I need you to pick Georgia.
Well, the good news is, I might not pick Georgia, I might not pick Arkansas, but you know what I'm picking.
You're going to be picking A&M, so could be good luck for us. But I'll be picking Texas, so it'll be one of the only other time I picked against A&M. You guys still won, so.
Well, we'll wrap it up, and I will tell you again, just so you don't get bored this evening. I will say thank you in advance for not using any of your other
Figured
bookmarks you were sitting on for that one.
One was enough.
Yeah, one did the trick. Not to mention the 14 call outs that followed it that got everybody fired up. So big weekend for you. I got to rest for the most part. We got a big one coming up while you sit at home and rest, and we will talk next week about the Aggies and Mizzou, and we'll preview Texas and Georgia. It's getting more and more interesting. I'm Billy.
It is. I'm Amanda.
And I am moving the hell out of some goalposts.
Yeah, you are moving some goalposts this week. We got a meme to prove it.
I think I'll take I'll show the meme. By the way, there it is. There goes the meme. I think I'll take the week off from moving goalposts. This is my formal announcement. I'm going to try.
He's a little quiet on Twitter this week. You know why?
Yeah, exactly. All right, good fun. We'll talk next week.
Bye.